As we move through yin postures, it's important to know that yin is a little bit more intense than a restorative yoga. We are often in deeper stretches. The stretches we hold for at least 2 minutes, sometimes longer. And the idea is we're not forcing ourselves into the deepest version of the shape, but with the length of the hold, gravity starts to help pull us into it. We sink into it, our muscles relax. So I'm going to offer a few different shapes, but if they're not feeling great in your body, it is okay to move out of them sooner than I cue you out of them and to find anything else that feels good. We'll start with a pigeon pose. So you might make your way into a tabletop. If you have your bolster or a pillow, you can have the pillow for underneath your face. Blocks underneath the hips can be a really nice option as well. If you don't have blocks at home, you could slide a blanket or like a roll, like a throw cushion underneath that hip instead. So we'll come into a tabletop shape. And we'll take the right knee in front first. The knee comes behind my right wrist. And what you do with your left ankle will make a big difference in the depth of this shape. If my left heel is closer to my hip, it's going to be a bit more comfortable, a little less of an intense stretch. If I start to pull my right heel close to my left hip, if I start to pull my right shin forward, I sneeze. Whoa. The more forward your right shin is, the deeper the sensation of stretch. So you decide. If all of this feels like way too intense to be here for about 2 minutes, come into deer pose instead. So deer pose, instead of my left leg long behind, I'm pulling it out to the side for more of a 90-degree angle and finding a forward fold. This is where Harvey just sat on my bolster, so I'm going to grab another cushion. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. This is where a cushion underneath your head can be really nice, or underneath your forearms or chest. You can really elevate this area too by putting some blocks or textbooks or whatever you got at home underneath your pillow. And I always encourage tucking the self in. Even in a yin class, I love to tuck myself in. If I was there with you in person, I'd tuck you in. It's the best. Some folks are comfortable putting their forehead and nose down to the floor, the forearms, or the blocks or pillow. I much prefer to let one ear come down to the block or your prop. Just feels a bit more comfortable. I'm able to breathe with a little more ease. So play with it. If you are in pigeon and that right hip is really floating away from the ground, that's where I might tuck a block underneath it for a little bit of extra support. I'm going to hang out in deer pose today because I tried pigeon and my glutes were like, do we really need that much stretch? And I said, fair point, glutes. And so I'm finding this shape that feels a little more easeful in my body. When we arrive in yin shapes, it can take a little bit of fidgeting, a little wiggling to really find that position where you can sit and just be with your breath for a bit. The goal is never complete stillness. If you're getting a cramp or something, if it feels kind of uncomfortable in your back knee, adjust. Find ways to make the position less onerous so that you can begin that work of really relaxing into the shape. And know that if the shape is resisting you in some ways, if the body is like, ugh, I don't like this, it's not terrible, but I don't like this, that's okay too. We are gathering information about our body every time we explore the asana limb of yoga, the physical practice. The shape of your pelvis, the shape of your femur, the joints at the hip and knee, they're all going to dictate whether or not the shape feels good, feels sustainable in your body. And so just because it works for someone doesn't mean it'll work for you. But that's why we do the physical practice. It's this process of information gathering to learn what variations of what shape suit me best. No one else can make that decision for you. So know that every time you show up on your mat and you explore a shape, you are gathering more information for your nervous system, for your brain, for that intuitive sense of knowing what it is your body's asking you for. And we start to deepen the breath. Notice if that breath did become more shallow as you hung out in the shape a little longer. Can you send the breath a little deeper down the back? And on your next breath out, push the earth away. Start to lift the chest. We're moving into a seated position between sides, so you can get there however you like. If you are in pigeon, a fun transition can be sitting the right side of your bum down to the earth and sweeping that left leg around and in front. We'll plant both feet on the ground, hands plant behind you. Just give yourself a moment to check in with the line of the spine here. Feet are grounded, fingertips are facing forwards. Roll the shoulders back, lift your chest, lift your chin. Can you press the rib cage forward, pull the shoulder blades away from the ears, and just feel this opening in between your shoulders, across the front of your chest. Deep breath in. Tuck your chin, find a little rounding of your spine. This is a weird variation of our cat and cow. Inhale, lift the chest, rib cage pulls away from hips, chin juts up to the sky. Exhale, tuck the chin around the spine. And one more if you'd like with your breath. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, tuck the chin and round. We'll press our way up to a seat and then through to tabletop. Again, give space for intuitive movement. So if you arrive and it feels good to wiggle the hips, do that. If it feels good to continue playing with that cat and cow, you can make them a little bigger. Oh, I summoned a cat with that, from this position. And when you're feeling ready, we'll switch sides. So left knee comes towards the left wrist. And again, the more parallel that left shin is towards the top of your mat, the deeper the sensation of stretch. If you're heading into pigeon, you're just sliding right knee back. You might tuck that block underneath the left side of your bum, like that. If you're coming into deer, you can bend that right knee and pull it out to the side. So we've got our knees more in this 90-90 position. I'm going to take this variation again and tuck myself in. Know that you can take different variations side to side. There's no yoga police. They're not going to get you for it. What feels good? I realized I was about to shove my pillow into my microphone. And the audio is already dodgy enough with my scratchy post D&D voice, so we won't do that. And then it can be helpful to consciously start to pull your attention down your body. As we land in yin poses, sometimes I find, especially because I want to move fast, my brain is always fast, sitting still is hard for me. not hard for everyone, but it's hard for me. And so sometimes my body tenses up a little bit in these positions of stillness. So you might gently relax your lower jaw. Can you soften the muscles around your eyes? If eyes are closed, let them be closed gently. Notice if the shoulders are hiking up the back. Can you use your next exhale to draw those big bones, your shoulder blades, down your rib cage? Can you use your next exhale to relax through the inner thighs? Know that if distractions start to arise, like Harvey's batting some kibble around the floor over there, that is so much a part of this practice. We go to yoga classes in these intentionally quiet, cell phone free, low lit spaces because cultivating mental focus throughout distraction is hard. But ultimately, that's where our yoga practice is directing us. So if there are things in your room, sounds in your environment that are pulling your attention in different directions, great. That's awesome. That increases the challenge of this work on the mental side of things. So notice the distractions. And then let your breath anchor your attention back into your body, into the pose. Sometimes the bigger distraction is not external, but is internal. So notice, I stopped talking for like a record, like 6 seconds. Did your thoughts go somewhere? Or did they stay with the breath? Did you plan your breakfast? Or did you just sink a little bit more into the opening of the hips, the stretch of the glute with each breath out? When you're ready, let's inhale, lifting our chest. We'll make our way up to a seat, however you want to get there. Yeah, flip your hair like that. Amazing. Yeah. Is that a mermaid over there? Oh no, it's just you. Plant your hands, finding your tabletop again. We'll head through a few rounds of thread the needle here on a stretch for our mid back. We're going to keep it active today, which means we're not dropping the arm down to the ground. Take your right hand underneath your face. Left hand spirals up to the sky. Can we just hang out in this little opening for a moment? Rotate your left rib cage up. Maybe you look up to top thumb, but if that doesn't feel good, look somewhere else. Draw some circles with this top arm. Can be big, can be small. Your whole rib cage can get involved, like rotating your chest down and then opening it up to the ceiling. Or you can hold your chest open, rotating to the left, and just move the shoulder joint. Make it as big or as small as you want, as dramatic or as simple. And the next time that left arm spirals up to the sky, pause, look in the direction of that hand. Exhale, sweep the left arm underneath your right. You might peek under that right shoulder. Inhale, sweep that arm up. Exhale, take it through. Inhale, take it up. And exhale, sweep it through. Push the earth away with your right hand. Really look to those left fingertips. Inhale, take it back up to the sky. Exhale, left hand replaces right on your mat. Right arm peels up to the ceiling. Again, circle. You decide. Big or small. Move your spine. Rotate the chest open and closed. Or don't. Doesn't need to look any specific way. If you close your eyes and just notice how it feels, what feels good. And next time you reach up to the ceiling, rotate the chest up, look to the top thumb, deep breath in, reach as high as you can. Exhale, reach that arm through. With your breath, 2 more. Inhale up. Exhale through. 1 more. Inhale up. Exhale through. Inhaling, plant both hands down. We'll start to walk our palms forward, coming down onto our belly. And we'll lift up into a Sphinx pose for our next yin hold. My legs are long down the mat. Legs can be out wider and closer, whatever feels good. Plant your forearms on the earth and lift your chest. This is our no props option. Just hanging out here. Gently, gently pushing into your forearms and pulling the ribs away from the hips ever so slightly. Lots of options on how you can use props to support this pose. You could take a pillow and slide it underneath the rib cage for a little bit of extra support. You could put a block there. I have 4-inch blocks that are made of like hard cork, so that would hurt, so I'm not going to do that. You could use a block for underneath your chin, or if you prefer not to crane the neck, we do a lot of this in our day-to-day posture anyway, so it's okay if you're not keeping the chin and gaze straight forward. You could put your forehead down on the block and get more of a curve in your neck instead. So play around with it. Tuck yourself in or don't, up to you. I think I'm going to try a block under my forehead today. I never do that. Fun to mix it up. And remember, although we'll be here for a few minutes, if you're not digging it, you can move at any point. Yeah. Mine are starting to slide forward, but yeah, in general, elbows under the shoulders helps push the ground away gently and pull the rib cage forward slightly. Yeah, that was a great question. The tendency in this pose is, as we stay for a little bit longer, for the elbows to start to creep forward. So I'm going to pull mine back in. I ditched the block. I wasn't digging that. But I think I will stick a pillow underneath my rib cage. Yeah, that feels nice. And then can you slowly start to relax the limbs down? So let your forearms gently press into the earth. Let the top of your legs be really heavy. Take a deep breath in. And let the pelvis get really heavy too. Feel those hips sinking down. Maybe you pull shoulder blades down the back a little bit. Pulling shoulder blades down your spine will cause your chest to lift a little bit higher. If at any point this feels super crunchy in your low back, you can come into a really small back bend instead. So more like a baby cobra. Chest comes a lot lower. Hands more like in line with the heart. And you decide having the eyes open in your yin postures gives your brain more sensory information. You're already being bombarded by the sound of my voice. And then you have all the information you're taking in with your eyes. So that's why closing the eyes is often that first step towards any kind of more meditative practice. It limits the information our brain is receiving and interpreting. And it allows our thoughts to sort of choose their own path instead of being directed by sight information. Has the jaw clenched up? What's happening around the eyes, those teeny little muscles? Can we find a little lightness even with our whole body weighted down? Take a deep breath in, gently pull your heart forward, push into your forearms. Breathe. And sigh it out. 2 more like that. Full breath in. And let it go. Last one at your own pace. Breathe in when you're ready. Maybe you sigh it out. Planting the hands on the mat, we'll push our way back. I'm going to offer a few variations for our child's pose today. So after doing a little back bending shape where we are curving the spine in that direction, it can feel really nice to come into what's often called embryo pose. This is a variation of child's pose. Child's pose, we often take it heels together, knees out wide. In embryo pose, we're taking the thighs together and they create a little sort of shelf for you to lean over. If there's lots of space between so some folks like to do this, forehead down on the mat, arms reaching back. This is one variation. If it feels like your forehead is up here, there's so much space between your forehead and the earth, awesome, cool. We'll take a pillow and put it underneath. We can take a block and put it underneath the pillow and create a bit more elevation. If it doesn't feel good to be on your legs in this kneeling position, or if bum doesn't come down towards the heels, that's fine too. You could slide a pillow under there and set your bum back towards it. And then take a block under your head. You can get as creative as you want. Yeah, nice. Know that if this variation of child's pose doesn't feel good in your body, you could take the knees out wider and come into the child's pose with your torso between the thighs and hands reaching forward or cupping your prop. But also the child's pose doesn't work in some bodies, and if that's you, that's okay. What other shape can you find that will give you a sensation of almost protectedness, especially in this embryo pose, this kind of drawing inwards, almost like a fetal position? Can we focus on maybe cultivating a sense of our own safety, if that's possible? It's not always possible. And this position that inherently creates some compression, it's almost like you're giving yourself a hug. So can we extend some of that gratitude, that appreciation and respect for ourselves? Can we send some of that inward here? As you sit and breathe, Our spine in this slightly different position. Spinal flexion, we're curving the spine forward. Can you feel how each breath lifts your ribcage, lifts your spine? Breathe in. Feel that almost increase of stretch in the low back. Breathe out. Can we feel a little bit more space growing between each vertebrae with each breath that you take? The shape creates a curvature through our spine, but particularly in that lumbar spine, that low back area, that is often so compressed by carrying the weight of gravity in our whole body weighing down on it, every vertebrae that comes above it, throughout the bulk of our day. So again, can you extend your body some gratitude, your spine some gratitude, for all it does to support us through the challenges, through the losses that we encounter throughout our life. Deep breath in, pressing into your hands, start to lift your chest. Walk your hands forward, find a tabletop shape. And for our last yin pose today, we're exploring toes pose. If you heard that and you're like, nope, I don't need that, we respect you, we salute you, skip it, find any other shape that feels good. Toes pose, we curl our toes into the ground and we start to sit the bum back towards the heels. Lots of options here. If this feels agonizing, maybe you sit on like a little pillow in between the two. Does that actually make it any better? I don't know. Try it. See what you think. Never have to bring your bum all the way down to your heels. If sitting in this shape with the hips higher, more in line with the knees, feels like a lot through the bottom of the feet, stay. If you're heading in the direction of bum towards heels but aren't quite there yet, blocks underneath both hands can be a really nice way just to lift your hips away from the heels ever so slightly. I've been to yin classes where they're like, and we'll be here for 5 minutes. And then I promptly go, so we'll be here for maybe 2 tops. I've been to classes and I've taught classes where sometimes I'll distract students from the sensation of being in this pose by getting us to do stuff with our arms, eagle arms, that kind of thing. But today, as we talk about how discomfort can serve us, how hard emotions, hard sensations can help us grow, maybe we just sit and really feel what's happening in the bottom of your feet. You know, I love to talk about tapas, my favorite yogic niyama. Not that I'm practicing attachment to any of them over the others, but I loved tapas for its kind of twofold definition, both showing up to your practice day after day, but almost more challenging for me, the sticking in the discomfort when we're in it. The discipline, the fire it takes to be in a shape like this. Man, doing all those strange voices in D&D last night really did a number on my throat. Thanks. Thanks for meeting me in all my vocal frying glory. Notice how the body is responding to this. Are the shoulders seizing up, this position of stress? Pull shoulder blades down the back. Yeah, good observations. Again, noticing is the first step. Relax the jaw. Maybe close the eyes down. Lean into the challenge by sending your awareness, your mind's eye, to the bottom of the feet. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Big full breath in. Exhale, relax through your inner thighs and belly. Deep full breath in. Exhale, shoulder blades pull down the back. Last one. Big breath in. Sigh it out, soften through the muscles of your face. And nice and slow, we'll start to make our way forward. Excellent work. Can point the toes and flex the feet if that feels good. Might set the shins down, tops of the feet on the earth, and gently walk back. Again, stacking our hips and just finding this almost counter stretch, the stretch for the top of our feet. You folks know this one. You can stay right here if it feels good, or you can start to float the shins away from the earth ever so slightly. Meet yourself where you're at. If we ever get an acute sensation of pain, we're going to ease off that. I'm going to take a little slurpy slurp from my giant cup. Ah, good job, Bubba. And then we'll let the shins come down. Walking yourself forward, we'll sweep the legs around and in front. And it might feel good to just circle out the ankles a bit here, or to curl and relax the toes. Just did so much stretching, pulling the toes sort of back using the ground. So curling the toes in creates the inverse of that motion and can feel kind of nice after that toes pose. And when you're done, finding a few little wiggles, a few little movements. Let the ankles still, toes up to the sky. Sit up nice and tall. Big breath in. You might start to fold it forward. Maybe hands crawl up the shins ever so slightly. Maybe you reach for the feet or use a strap around your feet. Your spine can stay long, or you can tuck the chin in around the spine. Inhaling, taking it up. And maybe you give yourself a little hug. Arms reaching for opposite shoulders. This could be a nice stretch too, just gently pulling your shoulder blades away from each other. Deep breath in. And let it go. Nice work. Good job taking care of yourself.